Assalamu alaikum. We have very warm welcome viewers. You are watching the program Diplomatic Enclave from Channel 5, and I am your host Malik Manzur. Today, I am joined by His Excellency, the Ambassador of Denmark, His Excellency Ole Thonke. Very warm welcome, sir, in my program in Diplomatic Enclave.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to come here to Diplomatic Enclave and talk to you.
And viewers, I must tell that His Excellency Ole Thonke is very experienced, very seasoned diplomat. He served in 3 continents, and he was ambassador in Latin America before this assignment. And as an ambassador, he is trying to boost the bilateral relation between Pakistan and Denmark. And we have very cordial, very friendly relation with the Denmark. Sir Excellency, first of all, I would like to ask that would you like to tell us about yourself and your professional background and your career and different continent that you saw? So how do you see actually as ambassador here that would you want to increase the relation between Denmark and Pakistan in many fields like economy and trade and political and diplomatic circle?
Yeah. As you can see, first of all, I'm a fairly young ambassador. I've been serving in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Denmark for around 16 years now. I started my career working a lot with Africa. I was posted both to West Africa and then later to East Africa. Then I was nominated ambassador 4 years ago now. And served as an ambassador in Bolivia in Latin America, where I covered actually 6 countries as ambassador. So I did a lot of traveling on the continent. And then I was sent directly to Pakistan as an ambassador also. So actually on this tour I was both in Africa, in Latin America and now in Asia. So I say to the people and my family that I'm a bit on a world tour as a diplomat right now. But it's for me it's a huge opportunity and it gives a lot of perspective on the world when you travel to so different continents. On Pakistan, what I can say is that I have been received really warmly here. I have had a half year now working here, and I am very positively surprised. The people of Pakistan are so sympathetic, so warm, so open and welcoming. I've been met everywhere I go with a smile, and that has made my job as an ambassador for Denmark very easy, I think.
And Excellency, tell us that how do you see the Pakistan economy, that this present regime, this government is introducing many economic reforms. So how do you see the Pakistan economy at this time?
I think if you compare to where Pakistan is right now compared to 5 years ago, for instance, I think Pakistan is definitely in a much better position. There is a stable macroeconomic environment with relatively high growth rates. Inflation is under control. So a much more solid macroeconomic framework than what you used to have. On top of that, I think it's very important to add that the security situation is gradually becoming better. There's still challenges, obviously, but you are on a positive trend on that also, which is also, in my opinion, helping the economy of Pakistan. Obviously, there are also challenges. For instance, a worrying trend has been the lowering of the exports of Pakistan. I understand that's why the government actually has taken action and initiated this textile and other products package recently, which are supposed to boost the export of Pakistan and I think it's obviously important to have a balanced economy, including on the current accounts. So I think that's hopefully that will work on the medium to long term. But if we talk about the relations between Denmark and Pakistan, then in this framework conditions, they are fairly positive. I would say we have a fairly big trade between Denmark and Pakistan. If you think about Denmark being a small country with only 5.5 million people, we have a bilateral trade of around $500 million between our countries. And it's actually quite evenly shared. The amount of exports going from Denmark to Pakistan is around $250 million, and it's more or less the same amount of exports going from Pakistan to Denmark.
Almost equal.
Exactly. So we have a quite equal trade relationship, which I believe actually is quite positive between our countries.
Your Excellency, do you satisfy with the current trade volume between the two countries? As you said that as an ambassador, you are trying your best to promote the relation in the field of trade and economy. But how do you see the potential between the two countries actually, that how we can explore it actually, and what are your real priorities as the ambassador here during your stay in Pakistan?
My main priority is to increase the commercial relations between Denmark and Pakistan. And fortunately, the conditions are favorable for that right now, I believe. The opportunities of increasing trade is there. There's a lot of potential, unexplored potential in my opinion. The security situation, which has been very challenging here the past 5 to 10 years, are improving or is improving, which actually means that now we can start to take more advantage of the opportunities we have here. Obviously, we still have challenges attracting some Danish businesses because of the perception, the security perception, and the reality also in Pakistan. But my experience is whenever then we get the companies to Pakistan, they leave with a very, very different image, and they leave with an idea that we can actually do much more business here in Pakistan. They find really good partners on the other side of the table in terms of the level of the managers of the private sector in Pakistan is very, very high and very professional. So often they go back with a sense that we can do much more here. And that's also for me confirming that there is actually a lot of potential that we have not yet tapped into.
And sir, you rightly pointed out that a very tangible improvement we can see in law and order situation in Pakistan as comparatively with a few years back, that there was terrorism and extremism was increasing. But due to military operation and other measures that taken by this government to counter the terrorism, we've seen law and order is becoming better. My question is that how do you see the investment climate in Pakistan and business opportunities for the Danish companies here if they want to invest in this country? So how do you see this atmosphere?
I think an index that we often use, or the Danish private sector often use, is the Doing Business Index created by the World Bank. And there, on some accounts, Pakistan is doing quite well, but on others, there are still challenges in terms of, for instance, corruption or the level of solidity in terms of legal, in governance, in things like that. So it's a mixed picture, but in spite of that, we actually have Danish companies who are now willing to invest. We have 4 key sectors that we like to put our emphasis on from the embassy side. First is energy, and especially renewable energy. There is still an energy gap here in Pakistan. In Denmark, we have a lot of technology and a lot of experience increasing the level of renewable energy in our energy mix in Denmark. We have more than 50% of our electricity being delivered by renewables, and that's a potential here in Pakistan. We are best, if I can put it that way, in windmills. and wind farms, where we have some of the best technology in the world. We have both Vestas and Siemens Denmark. They are both producing their windmills and their turbines in Denmark. And there is a huge potential, I believe. Of course, it is not easy, and there are some technical challenges in terms of how much renewable can you put into the grid of Pakistan and still ensure a stable production of electricity. But again, there I do believe that we, from Denmark's side, we have some solutions and a lot of technology that could benefit Pakistan. So we're trying to build on that and trying to expand our collaboration in that area. A second area I want to mention is water treatment. If you look ahead the next 20-30 years, all experts say that water will become an issue for Pakistan. Water shortage.
It's a very serious issue.
It's a very serious issue. Fortunately, there are technologies available around the world that can counter this in terms of energy or water saving methods, water treatment, purifying water for reuse, etc., etc. And there at Denmark we have a lot of technology, and we have quite an elaborated water sector, which we also hope to make more active in Pakistan, and present some of the solutions which I believe are very, very relevant for Pakistan.
Yes.
For the time being. Then thirdly, Denmark is an agricultural country. We have a lot of technology and expertise in agriculture and agribusiness. We had a delegation just last year where we had, I think, 8 Danish companies coming to Pakistan with their technology, being it in cold chain storage, for instance, being it in equipment for veterinary standards, etc., etc. All these things that are needed if you want to modernize your agricultural sector. And they found a lot of opportunities also. So I think we have a lot to offer from Denmark to actually develop the agricultural sector of Pakistan. And then finally we have the pharmaceutical sector, where Denmark is a world-leading producer of insulin, and diabetes is a lifestyle disease on the rise in Pakistan. As you develop and you have economic growth, the middle class will start to grow a lot. People change their habits. Then people are also more prone to diabetes. That's why we have a lot of collaboration in that area also. Then finally, obviously in terms of industries, Denmark is world known for our cement factories. I actually visited one of the cement factories put up by Denmark in Pakistan just last week. And it is again world-class technology, not only in terms of efficiency of the plants, but also in terms of environmental standards and in terms of energy efficiency. For instance, the other cement plants I have seen in other places around the world, they are very polluting, they're very dusty, and you have this dust of cement
pollution has become
all
a very
over.
Important issue.
Exactly. But this cement plant, you couldn't find any dust anywhere. They had like huge vacuum cleaners.
And environment friendly, you know.
Exactly. And another thing, there's a lot of waste energy when you produce the cement. But what they had done there was that they put in a plant to extract the waste energy and then produce new energy. So they had actually a 9 or 10 megawatt power plant installed at the cement factory, only using the waste heat to produce 10 megawatts. And I think that's some of the solutions that we have in Denmark, which are very, very relevant to Pakistan.
And sir, you explain in very detail that what the potential your country has, the experience that you have, and we can get that experience. As you know that Pakistan is facing energy crisis from last many years. How do you see that Pakistan will come over this energy crisis? And can you tell us briefly that how many Danish companies are invested in Pakistan in energy, in agriculture, in water treatment, and some other pharmaceutical areas that you mentioned.
On the energy side, clearly there's been a lot of emphasis on increasing the level of production in Pakistan, and all the experts say that Pakistan will do much better in the future. The new installed electricity plants will take a lot of the problems away in this, and that will, I believe, alone there create a lot of extra growth for Pakistan. So definitely Pakistan is on the right path. We hope from Denmark's side that there will be a reasonable mix of traditional power production and renewable or alternative power production. We believe that's the future. In 5, 10, 15 years' time, the cheapest solutions for producing energy will most likely be renewables and not the traditional coal-fired or whatever.
And there is a lot of potential for this, you know.
And here in Pakistan, you have huge potential for wind power. There are some extraordinary wind tunnels in southern Pakistan, but also up in KP. And you have also extraordinary potential for producing solar power in Pakistan, and that's free of charge, and you don't have to import fossil fuels, and so there's a lot of benefits, and on top it's environmental friendly. You don't have the problems with smog like they are having both in severe degree in China, for instance, or also in India is suffering. We see it somewhat already now in Pakistan, but that would be a way to counter that future challenge, actually. So I do believe that it's a potential and a way forward here in Pakistan. In terms of how many Danish companies are active, we have
working here in Pakistan.
Yeah, we have I believe around 16, 18 Danish companies who are directly installed, if I can put it that way, here in Pakistan and working with their own offices. But then on top of that, we have around close to 50 Danish brands that are using agents, Pakistani agents, to market their products here. So among the companies who have their office here, you will find like Vestas, Novo Nordisk, other big Danish companies, Damco, etc. And of the ones who have their agents or use agents here, you would find Danish brands like Lego, Bang & Olufsen, etc. So that's the two methods that
these
the
are very
Danish
leading companies here.
Oh yes, world-class companies known all over the world. Obviously, a company like Maersk, who are doing the shipping, the world's largest shipping company, are very, very active in Karachi and in the ports of Pakistan, and also see a huge potential here.
Your Excellency, here we take a short commercial break and we will continue our discussion after this. Welcome back, viewers. Your Excellency, you mentioned in very detail our bilateral relation between the two countries, and it's a very positive trend that both countries are increasing bilateral relation in many fields. Can you elaborate that your Danish development assistance programs in Pakistan And you tell us some details about these programs and what is the output actually of this program that you have seen here.
We have in Denmark a very active policy of development assistance, and Pakistan has been included under that. In Denmark, we believe strongly in equality, not only internally in Denmark but also around the world. So we have a very high level of development assistance of 0.7% of our GDP. Part of that has been going to Pakistan, and we have here focused on, for me, a key area, which is education. I strongly believe that Pakistan needs to do everything possible to increase the level of education amongst the children of Pakistan. And we've had a very good collaboration with the authorities and the UN in mainly FATA and KBK area of trying to help around 750,000 children in their daily work of going to school, basically. Furthermore, we've been active in human rights issues, gender equality, which is close to the Danish values, where we've had collaboration with different local partners. On top of that, we've actually also had collaboration in terms of security. Denmark, we have a program together with the UK on counter-IED training, but also we've had a program with UNODC who tries to help and educate the border control mechanisms between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and which has been very successful.
And sir, can you tell us that as we are talking about the economic prosperity, so this CPEC, Pakistan-China Economic Corridor, is called a game changer in this region. How your country respond actually to see this mega projects, and is there any possibility that your country also can become the part of this CPEC project, and how do you see the potential and the future prospects of this program regarding the economy of Pakistan?
Of course, as everybody agrees, the CPEC program is a huge opportunity for Pakistan. The amount of investments that are planned under this program will, in my opinion, no doubt benefit Pakistan, and it's in needed areas such as energy and infrastructure. Obviously, Pakistan needs also to make sure that you tap into the possibilities and the opportunities that are related with such a huge undertaking. I think also we need to realize that it will not from one day to another change Pakistan. This is obviously a long-term process, and in 5 to 10 years' time, I think we will have a much clearer picture of exactly how this have developed. For Denmark, obviously, it's also an opportunity. Alone the fact that the amount of cement and concrete needed to build, where Danish suppliers can come in, is huge, and it will benefit the economy as a whole also, which means that the framework conditions will also be hopefully better in the future. It also increases the security, I believe, because you cannot build that infrastructure, including the ones going into the areas closer to Pakistan and in Balochistan, where you have some challenges in an unstable environment. So that I do also believe there will be more emphasis on improving the security in those areas. So obviously it is a very good opportunity for Pakistan. It will not be a panacea. Pakistan will need to tap into it, but I'm sure that will happen.
And so now please shed a light on your key achievement of your country. And as we know, the Danish nation is considered the happiest nation in the world, and your economy and in education and health, in other many sectors, in agriculture that you mentioned, pharmaceutical, and some other important sector that you mentioned, your country has improved a lot. and got a very remarkable achievement. So can you tell us to our viewers that what is the key of success actually of your nation and your country and your people?
It's true that Denmark has repeatedly actually been nominated the most happy nation in the world, and whenever you ask a Dane about that, you can't help smiling. Some people say that, but how can you measure that? And it's subjective and all these arguments. But it's actually, I read into it, and it turns out that we actually have a happiness institute in Copenhagen that do a lot of research on how to measure happiness, and it's a science in itself. And they have very elaborated procedures on how to measure happiness all over the world.
It's a unique institution that you have, huh?
It is, yeah. No, actually, there are also other countries in the world who has that, like Bhutan and other countries.
Okay.
But it's not many. But I think the fundamental belief is that you cannot measure a nation only on its GDP, for instance. Because GDP says nothing about how people feel, or are they oppressed, do they have civil rights, etc., etc. So how do they feel? So I think the whole philosophy is you need to develop a society and a country and the policies in a manner so that the people in that country actually can flourish and live good lives and happy lives and make the most of their lives. So that's a bit the focus. Denmark, we have things that make us a bit unique in this context. For instance, we have a relative equal society. Denmark is one of the countries in the world with the lowest inequality between rich and poor, and that's one thing in terms of happiness that is actually very helpful, because people measure themselves upon others and relatively. So for instance, if you live in a poor neighborhood but you are okay off, you feel really, really well. But if you live in a rich neighborhood and you are much richer than that poor guy, but you are a bit below the others, you don't feel that well, actually. So that's very relative. So equal opportunities and equal wealth is actually a contribution to people that they feel good.
And equal distribution of resources among the people, you know.
Exactly, and equal opportunities. For instance, we have a welfare system where education is 100% free, health system is 100% free. Everybody has to have the same opportunities in life. If you get unemployed, you will get a social package from a social insurance, so your life does not
from the
disrupt.
State, from your country.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the core of a welfare state, and we have like what we term the Nordic welfare model that we share with Norway and Sweden, that has all these things. Another thing that are very characteristic is we have a lot of trust in each other. We do believe that everybody wants to do good and be good to each other. An example is that if you go out in the countryside in Denmark, you will find a lot of stands in front of the farms where you can buy potatoes or strawberries or whatever they produce. And there will be a small money box there, and then there will be the potato and things you can buy, but there will be nobody from the farm there. So you can just stop your car, take your potatoes, and then put in the money that you need to pay for that, and then drive off.
It's voluntarily, you know, it's
yeah, because the farmer trusts that if a car stops and a Dane come out, they will of course pay for the products and then take the potatoes with them. So that's the level of trust. Whereas in other countries, obviously people will go by and say, "Oh, I can just take the potatoes, no one will," and then drive off, you know. But that's the level of trust we have in our society. So things like that add actually to Denmark.
And your
being
economy,
a happy nation.
you tell us about.
Yeah, of course, wealth is also a factor in this equation, and Denmark, even though we are a small country with only 5.5 million people, we have, in terms of nominal GDP and market size, a very large economy. I think we are the 34th, 37th largest economy in the world, and actually we are a bit above Pakistan still in terms of size of the economy. So that of course also has something to do with this. But then we are also increasingly known for our culture, music, gastronomy. Copenhagen is now becoming a capital of gastronomy. We have a lot of very nice top restaurants in the world. The number of Michelin stars in Copenhagen has increased tremendously, and recently we were able to attract 2 top chefs from Denmark to Pakistan. We had an event down in Karachi where they were serving for around 700 Karachiites, high-level gastronomy, very successful, I believe. And they also participated in a cooking show on television, showing how to elevate the gastronomy to another level.
And sir, you just talked about the culture and arts and literature. So how do you see the Pakistan cultural heritage? Because you recently arrived here in Pakistan as ambassador. So how do you see that both countries can enhance relation in the field of cultural heritage?
I believe that culture and people-to-people relations are very, very important in my job, and this is a focus for us. We've had a cultural program here in Pakistan, very successful, where we have focused a lot on the traditional cultures of Pakistan and trying to revive some of the old traditions. For instance, we had a program in Gilgit-Baltistan where the focus was to try to reinitiate a lot of the old festivals that they used to have in that region, and we were unsure how the local communities they would react to that, but we had a very positive reaction, and we had very many elder people saying, "Oh, I remember this from when I was young. We had these festivals, and this is amazing to see it again." And everybody was really happy about it. I do believe Pakistan has a very rich, a very varied culture that you should be very, very proud of, and we're very happy to be able to help you and work together with that. We have had some exchanges of a theater going to Denmark, performing there. We've had Danish musicians, live strings coming to Pakistan, giving concerts, etc., etc. So it's for me very, very important. Another thing I would like to mention while I'm at it is the nature of Pakistan. I've been traveling as much as I can around, not only a lot in Lahore and Karachi, but also trying to get out. I was up in Gilgit, where I went to Fairy Meadows, which is a place just before the Nanga Parbat, and I went to the base camp of Nanga Parbat, and I must say that the nature,
beautiful place.
It is absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. I read somewhere that in the 60s and 70s there was a huge amount of backpackers and Europeans and Americans coming to Pakistan, visiting those regions and seeing the nature, etc. And I fully understand why. And of course, there's been a downsurge in that because of the security situation. But I sincerely hope that will improve as the security situation gets better in Pakistan, and that more people from all over the world can go to these beautiful places you have in Pakistan.
And sir, apart from cultural, economic and trade ties between the two countries, please shed a light on the political and diplomatic relation between the two countries. Do you satisfy that Pakistan and Denmark have a very excellent relation on diplomatic and political front?
There are many things that binds us together, Denmark and Pakistan. Apart from all the things that we have discussed already, we have, for Danish standards, a very large Pakistani diaspora living in Denmark, around 25,000. And they are working and they're part of the Danish society.
25,000 Pakistanis are living.
Yeah, they live in Denmark, or of Pakistani origin. Yeah, yes. And what I'm very happy to read is, for instance, that the Pakistani diaspora in Denmark is among the most well integrated into the Danish society. For instance, they had one of the lowest unemployment rates of all diasporas. Which means that they are living up to Danish standards and values, and they are contributing to the Danish welfare states on equal term as Danish people. So I think that's also very positive. And my impression is also that we get along very easy. It's very easy for me to discuss and to laugh and make jokes with Pakistanis, and that also helps, you know.
And sir, can you briefly tell us that how do you see the Pakistan role, the peace and stability in this region? That Pakistan is a very important country of the South Asia. As you know that Pakistan is playing very important role for the reconstruction and other efforts, reconciliation in Afghanistan as well. So do you satisfy with the Pakistan roles and efforts regarding the peace and stability in this region?
No, clearly. I mean, if you look at a map on where Pakistan is located, it's a key position. We or me as an economist, what I used to say is that Denmark, we were in a region of war and conflict for more than 500-600 years. Finally, we had peace with our neighbors Sweden and Germany, which we used to fight long wars against. What we have now is that our biggest trading partners, and what Denmark actually live off and benefit from, is our biggest export partner is Germany, and the second biggest is Sweden, I believe. So there's an enormous amount of potential in having peace and stability in the region, which will benefit the whole country and the whole region. So I do hope that in future it will be possible to solve the conflicts which are here in this region, because I believe that will actually be a major step forward, not only for Pakistan but for all the people who live in this region.
And sir, is there any possibility in future that Pakistan and Denmark can have a free trade agreement to actually increase the trade volume between the two countries?
Actually, that is since Denmark is member of the European Union, we have a common market in Europe, and our free trade agreement is the European free trade agreement with Pakistan, and as of now Pakistan has actually free access to the European market, and we have a very, very positive and good trade agreement between the whole of Europe, including Denmark and Pakistan, and we do believe and that this benefits both Europe and Pakistan and Denmark. We do hope and believe that will continue in the years to come.
A while ago, sir, that you mentioned that we have a cooperation in the field of security. So can you elaborate the defense ties between the two countries, and if we have some training program from your armed forces or any exchange program or armed forces between the two countries?
We have a very good collaboration. As I mentioned before, we are supporting the training facility on the counter IED facility for Pakistan, where we have a very good collaboration with the UK and the Pakistani army. We are also having a very good collaboration between the Danish Defence College and the counterparts here in Pakistan, more on research areas. And for instance, we are having a seminar very soon on exactly the topic of how can the region become more stable in the future. what things are needed to enable a better dialogue and understanding between, for instance, Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan, how to improve those relations. So in different areas we are actively engaged, and there will be visitors also coming from Denmark for this event.
And so lastly, any concluding remarks or any message that you want to give to people of Pakistan from the people of Danish?
No, just to say that I'm very happy to be here. I've been very pleasantly surprised and overwhelmed by the hospitality and the warmth of the Pakistani people. I do believe there is a lot of opportunities for increased relations between Denmark and Pakistan, and I will do my utmost to improve that in the future.
Your Excellency, it was a delightful interaction with you and a very fruitful discussion with you, because you explained in very detail our bilateral relation and many aspects and cooperation in many fields that we are doing. So thank you very much for your precious time for the program Diplomatic Enclave. I'm grateful to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And viewers, this is the end of program. Thank you very much, sir.